We're going to
Sure
call the
will.
roll of the
Oh,
Lincoln Park Planning Commission to order. It is December the 9th, 2020. It is 7:05 p.m. And Chuck's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
yes, I am. I'm grabbing my flag right here. All right. Ready? I
Ready.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everybody be seated if you stood up. And
did.
we'll go on to the we'll go on to roll call.
Joe Palmer,
Yes.
Kevin Kissel,
Yes.
Gerald Grazak. Is he excused?
Yes.
Yeah.
Arturo Briones, is absent or excused?
Absent.
Absent.
Michael Horvath is here. Charles Persinger. You're not gonna
He
answer.
was here.
Yep.
Tracy Dupre.
Yes.
Yes,
Hello. I am here. You can't hear me?
we can hear you now.
Now, and Russ
Can you hear
LaDuca.
me?
He
Is
is not
he
present.
absent or excused?
I guess he's absent. He said he was coming.
Yep. Okay. I didn't see any minutes in the packet
I was
that I got
gonna-
today.
Check on the also present.
I did send them all to you this afternoon. They probably will not be available to be read and affirmed tonight, but if you're all here next Wednesday, this meeting and next meeting will be complete. But if you look in your email, you will see the minutes from the November 5th Planning Commission meeting.
John meant to say
Okay.
next Thursday. Don't be confused.
We'll make sure it's on the
Yep,
agenda
got
for
it.
next week.
Excuse me?
Make sure it's on the agenda for next week,
Yes.
this meeting and that meeting.
And you can read over the minutes from the 11/5 meeting before that, because they're already in most of your email boxes at this time.
There we go.
Got it.
So can I go through the list who is also present? So I write them
Go
down.
ahead.
So I got Matt Yanda, Maureen Tobin, John Myers, Liam Dumoche, and then who's Carlos iPad?
That's
Lillian.
me, Lillian.
Lillian? Yeah, that's what I
Hey,
thought.
Lillian.
Hey,
Hey, lady, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
That's great.
And then Mr. Pazingas, what's your whole name?
Hi, I'm Peter Zingas. I'm the developer.
Peter?
Good evening,
Okay.
everyone.
And then I think that's all I see,
Did
right?
you get Liz?
Oh, Liz Gruden. Yeah, you're good catch.
Okie dokie. We'll move on
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda or leave it as printed?
No, leave it as printed.
Sounds good.
So you
We need a
moved, Chuck?
motion.
So moved.
So,
Support.
Who
is
says
that support?
Support. Tracy.
Okay.
Dupre. And so let's see. So who?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. The agenda is approved. We have nothing under old business. So move on to new business. And the first item is A, is a site plan review for 1519 Southfield Taco Bell. Go ahead, Leah.
Liz is going to take this one away.
All right, Liz, go for it.
All right. Are you all sharing or seeing my screen?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Yes, I see your screen.
Okay, so I'll run through the site plan review report. The site is 1519 Southfield. It is, zoom this out a little bit. The site is located just east of the I-75 Southfield intersection. It's 0.39 acres and it sits on 3 right-of-ways: Southfield, Lafayette, and
No,
Cleveland.
do,
It was previously, the site was previously a gas station, which
I'm
was
gonna do
demolished.
2 cheese enchiladas.
There's
Joe,
a car
you
wash
want
there too.
to mute yourself?
I muted him.
Okay,
Let's
go ahead,
see.
Liz.
The site was previously a gas station. It was demolished in 2017, but has since been vacant. The master plan future land use classification is general commercial, so it fits in that. The zoning is municipal business district. A drive-through restaurant is permitted in the district, but is also subject to the site design standards for uses permitted after special approval for a drive-through. The proposed use is commercial. North of the site is the right-of-way and other commercial restaurants across Southfield. East is commercial, and south is residential, single-family residential district. And west is also commercial. The Masonic Temple is a few parcels over. So we have the list of site plan drawings that were included in your packet. I'll go through the different sections. The general, these standards, lot width, street frontage, lot area, coverage, height, setbacks, that meets all of those standards, so that can be addressed. For building design, building mass it meets those standards. It's similar in architectural variety to nearby buildings. All of the facades meet standards except for the front elevation. In communication with the applicant today, it sounds like they will meet the brick. They'll alter the plans to meet the 75% facade requirement. All other standards are met. The front facade meets the 25% window requirement. The only thing is the suggested pitched shingled roof form is not met, but it doesn't meet their building aesthetic. So items to be addressed are to revise the front facade materials, which he has indicated that they will do, and to also show rooftop mechanical equipment screening, which he has also indicated he will do. There are no significant natural features to preserve. Sidewalks, they're proposed in the development, and then also there are sidewalks on all 3 right-of-ways, which the applicant has indicated they will bring up to city standards. Parking, the zoning ordinance requirements yield 13 spaces that are required. They are providing 18. The number of stacking spaces required would be 10, and they are providing 17. The proposal meets all standards for a parking area type B. They have shown concrete curb and gutter locations, but no details. That will be a condition of approval as well. I believe the applicant indicated that they will provide those. Barrier-free access, 1 space is required, and they are providing 2. For loading, really only commercial buildings with less than 2,000 square feet do not require a designated loading space, so this doesn't apply for this proposed building. They have proposed a 50-foot loading zone on the site plan, but it is for reference only. Access, they are providing access on both Southfield and Cleophas. The one standard here is the radius of the entrance. Applicant indicated today that they will change the radius to meet the requirements. For trees along the right-of-way, it was unclear on the site plan whether the height of the trees, so just need a note that I believe he has provided already, that the street keeper or a type of trees near at intersections are trimmed high enough so that they don't obscure driver vision. And then there's also the note that any work in Southfield on Southfield Road is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County Road Commission, so all work in that right-of-way is permitted and approved through that agency. Emergency vehicle access. The fire department has indicated or verified that no fire lane is required and that emergency vehicle access will be via Cleophas Parkway. No new streets are proposed. For landscaping, screening, and open space, they are providing enough trees and shrubs along the street right of way and interior landscaping and for parking lot landscaping. There are 2 waivers that are required. The green belt width is 8 feet along the street right of way instead of 10. And then a note on the, I guess it's Lafayette, the applicant has proposed Carl Forrester reed grass, which isn't a listed shrub in our ordinance, but it would provide the same function. So we are just suggesting that the Planning Commission allow permission for this different type of grass, but we just ask that, or we recommend that the applicant do not cut down the reed grasses in the fall, but instead let the dried grasses remain in place over the winter and then cut them in the early spring to allow for screening for almost the entire year. For soil erosion control, the applicant just needs to work with the building superintendent, city engineer, and Department of Public Services. For utilities, the applicant has provided a preliminary utility plan, but we'll need to work with the city engineer to review all those proposed utilities when necessary. Stormwater management is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. For lighting, the photometric plan, I believe, was in lumens, but our zoning requirements are in foot candles. The applicant indicated today that the plan was in foot candles, so we will need to review that plan again. Yes.
If I can interrupt, I looked at their originals and their luminous and our foot candle combinations match.
Oh, they do. Okay, great. Thank you. No adverse noise impacts are anticipated from the development. Mechanical equipment, the ground mounted mechanical equipment is adequately screened with landscaping. Today, the applicant indicated that the rooftop mechanical equipment would be adequately screened. Signs, the applicant must work with the building department to ensure the signs comply with the Lincoln Park sign ordinance. Hazardous materials or waste. We know that the previous use on the site was a gas station, but the survey that the applicant provided and geotechnical report indicate that there are no remaining underground storage tanks on site. And finally, the site design standards for uses permitted after special approval, specifically for a drive-through. This meets requirements. We had a few inquiries. The photometric plan, again, same as for the lighting section, we need to review that again. We have a revised plan. The proposed walls for both the wall again near the residential properties and the masonry wall around the dumpster. We just needed more details about the paint color of those to make sure it matches the building. And then we did have one inquiry from the police department just addressing how emergency vehicles will get access into the drive-through lanes if necessary. Other agency reviews, again, work in Wayne County or work in Southfield right away will require a permit from the Wayne County Road Commission, and there are no variances anticipated for this development. So in terms of recommendations, the information within this proposal is substantially in compliance with section 1296.01 site plan review. There are 2 waivers that the applicant is requesting. The listed conditions to be addressed before we would issue an approval letter, and then conditions of approval. So I believe that the applicant can speak now.
Yes, thank you, Liz.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Yonda here representing Taco Bell. Address is 1228 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. And apologies if I'm just reiterating a lot of what Liz just said. So I'm sorry ahead of time for being redundant. But as mentioned, this project is located at the southwest corner of Southfield Road and Lafayette Boulevard. Site is currently vacant to make room for a new Taco Bell restaurant with associated parking, dual drive-through, masonry wall, and landscaping. The site includes 2 curb cuts, one on Southfield Road and one to the south on Cleophas. The site includes a proposed masonry wall that runs across the southern property line. The building itself will include 6 interior customer seats, and the building will be comprised mostly of brick. The building will also include raised parapet walls, which will completely screen the RTUs from the surrounding public. And as stated before, it should be noted that the front elevation currently, as shown, does not meet the brick coverage requirement, but we are working on revising that so it meets the 75% brick requirement stated in the city's code. And as the letter we're looking at here, there's just a couple major comments that I wanted to bring up and let everyone know that we have either addressed or are currently addressing as previously stated. One of which being the radii for the 2 proposed curb cuts. At first, I believe they were around 12 feet, but the city's comment states that they need to be from 25 feet to 30 feet. We have since revised that site plan, resubmitted it to the city. Another one, as stated before, is in regards to the 10-foot greenbelt setback along the 3 street frontages. And obviously due to the limited area of this site, we are not able to make this 10-foot setback requirement unless we remove crucial site elements such as parking and the drive-through. So in this case, that is why we are requesting a waiver for the greenbelt requirements. One comment was in regards to the proposed sidewalk along the 3 street frontages. I believe the comment stated that the sidewalk needs to meet the requirements of the city's sidewalk requirements. And I was reading through the city's code, and it appears from what I could find that the only requirement I saw was that the sidewalk must be a minimum width of 5 feet, which currently our site plan is showing. So just in case there's a sidewalk requirement that I wasn't able to find, we will be sure to revise if necessary in this case. And the last one that I wanted to bring up is in regards to the color for the dumpster enclosure and masonry wall. Just wanted to note to everyone that the enclosure and wall will be painted to match the color of the proposed Taco Bell restaurant, which is a mix of pewter and platinum, so neutral toned colors. And then just so I don't have everyone here all night, I just wanted to let everyone know the additional comments we will be sure to revise and submit to later meet all of the city's requirements here. But at this point, that's all I want to mention. I'll turn it over to you guys. If you have any questions for me, please let me know.
Okay. Anybody with any questions for him?
I do.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Am I to understand that this is going to have some sort of an exit or entrance off Cleophas Street?
Yes, so the curb cut at the south will be access for ingress and egress. And then the northern curb cut will be a right in, right out onto Southfield.
Onto Southfield, but I'm talking about Cleophas Street. which
Yes.
is right behind Southfield, of that parcel of land.
Yeah, so to the
'Cause
south on
we had a
Cleophas will
discussion
be-
about this before. We had a discussion about this before, about emptying out onto a residential street. They did this right by my house on Cleveland, and trust me, we're regretting it. When you dump off onto a street like that, you get trash everywhere, all kinds of other things.
I believe
This is also the
sorry,
same
go ahead.
site. This is also the same site, sir, that MDOT recommended we didn't put something like that there.
I believe.
So those are my concerns. Those are my major concerns.
Yep. So currently we're showing it as an all access, but if deemed necessary by the city, we can revise that to be an ingress only drive through if deemed necessary for approval.
If they came off of Southfield strictly, I don't see any problem, but dumping off onto the side street there, that causes a lot of problems for the neighbors who live there. That's my concern.
Yep, I see what you're saying. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Matt, I only have a statement for you.
Good, John.
You talked about the sidewalks. Please put in your notes that the sidewalk standards for the city versus Wayne County may vary. And so you have that long stretch across Southfield that would be a Wayne County required permit and guidelines. So as you look at that, you might want to just confirm their sidewalk guidelines for that large street on Southfield.
Okay.
They'll have oversight, they'll have permit, they'll have inspections on your curb cut as well as your sidewalks there.
Yep.
So they may be slightly different than the cities.
Duly noted.
Anybody else? No other questions or concerns? Okay, Leah, you want us to
I just want to make one
entertain
quick,
a motion?
I just want to make one quick comment, I guess, if
Go
nobody,
ahead.
to address the issue of the egress on Cleophas Parkway. So this is, this is just technical background. It's a site plan review, not a special land use. Unfortunately, what we don't have are anything in our ordinances stating that we can't, use that we must have access only from the main thoroughfares. So just like as a matter, like that's legal. If this is a concern, then then his suggestion to make that ingress only is probably the best we're going to get. So I would just vote caution against voting no on that grounds because we don't have the law to back us up. That is
right. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. So you want us to entertain a motion? Hello? Leah? You want us to entertain a motion?
Yes. Liz has
Okay.
it up on the screen.
Okay. Who wants to make the motion? Anybody want to make the motion?
I'll motion.
Is that you, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay. The motion being is that it says you would move for the city of Lincoln Park approval of the site plan number PPC 200011, proposing a Taco Bell drive-through restaurant at 1519 Southfield Road, consisting of the pages and revisions dated found under the site plan documents above. Based on the findings of that proposal, subsequently complies with requirements of 1296 6.01, the approval is conditional upon the submittal within 45 days of the date of this report of the revised site plan resolving the items noted above and subject to administrative review and approval. Do we have a support to that motion? Anybody going to support that motion?
I'm sorry, who moved?
Tracy did.
Okay. Sorry.
We need a support.
I'll support.
Okay, Tracy made the motion. Mike supported. Any questions on the motion? Mike, call the roll.
Joe Palmer,
He's
Yes.
muted.
Yes.
Kevin Kissel,
Yes.
Isaac not here, Briona's not here, Mike Horvath, yes, Persinger,
No.
no, okay, La Duca, he's not here, and Dupre,
Yes.
yes, okay.
The motion carries. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck to you. When do you plan to start in this?
So for right now, we're going to get moving to designing the full CDs as we address the remaining conditional comments there. And from there, we'll be submitting to Wayne County, the building department, engineering, and then hopefully sometime in the spring, we could get construction going here.
Well, good luck with that. And we look forward to having tacos at your location.
Can't wait.
So
Thank
Liz,
you.
I thought there used to be a car wash there. Well, I don't ever
There
remember
was.
a gas station.
That's
Gas
what I-
station was before the car wash.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
I-
believe there was a gas station either. The information we have was that it was a car wash. I
Yeah.
want to thank everyone. We appreciate your
It was.
consideration. And I'm not sure if we'll have an opportunity to talk again, but wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. And hope we can all get through the rest of this pandemic safe and well. Thank
May
you.
21 be better.
Same
Yeah,
to
thank you. Merry
and,
Christmas to yourself
good luck.
also.
So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which would be the 2020 annual report. Leah or Liz, who's going to handle this one?
I can.
Okay, go for it, Leah.
Chance to say something here. Let's see. Pull up my agenda here. So, you know, we are on the hook to provide an annual report to council each year of our progress. And so for the most part, I kind of started with that. Well, actually, Liz started with it. She wrote the majority of this, reviewing the actions that we've taken. So, well, I guess we'll start with the administrative stuff. So our officers who have served us faithfully this year, thank you very much. Kevin Kissel, Chair, Joe Palmer, Vice Chair, Mike Horvath, Secretary, thank you for your service. We had a member appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is a good practice anyway, and I'm really glad that Lincoln Park was able to, you know, accomplish it, and that is, again, appointing Mike Horvath to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Thank you for your service, Mike. We did our annual training, even though this was at the very beginning of the pandemic and we had questions about how we were going to get anything done, but we did manage to get our annual training in. We sat through the site plan review workshop, and there was also a Zoning Board of Appeals training that was on offer for the planning commissioners that you were certainly welcome to attend. The annual review of the development review process. I think we talked about maybe doing that when we discussed this last year, we talked about maybe doing that in October or November. Unfortunately, this year was a little hinky and we did nothing but basically cancel and reschedule meetings as required by the Open Meetings Act and changes in pandemic situations. So well, I'd like to have that chat today, and I will insert that after the next agenda item. The development, and then now to the development review, the things that we approved this year. So we had 6, now that we have, well, we will have 6 provided, so 5 now that we have Taco Bell successfully approved, and then our meeting next week, which is still in December, will total 6 site plan reviews that we have considered. And again, counting next week's meeting, 3 special land use meetings. We had 1 rezoning in the city of Lincoln Park. That was the property that we rezoned last year from general industrial district to municipal business district. That's the one that went, that request that was before us to go in the other direction. So that made its way through council. The thing that we probably did more of this year than we ever have before are zoning amendments. We addressed package delivery lockers. That was something that just sort of landed in our lap, and we, were asked to consider how those would best fit into our community, and we did do that. And in fact, that was the first thing that we did this year, the first of these amendments that we did this year. And then John just informed me a couple of weeks ago that our first one is actually arriving. So just in time.
It is not arriving. It has arrived without permission in every regard.
But at least we have standards.
But we now have standards we have to check the match.
And if we didn't have standards, right, we would just have to take it. But no, now we can be like, look, right here, comply.
Wrong side of the building, sorry.
Another thing that we did, which was really great, I think, because we've talked about it a lot over the couple of years that I've been here, the screening wall alternatives. It's so really important to us to ensure that our residential districts are protected from our business and industrial districts, but we've offered an additional option for our developers to do that. In addition to having just the screen wall, we've also found another alternative, an eco-friendly alternative that could be an option, and we've allowed folks to install a landscape wall instead of a masonry one if that's at their option. We instituted a waste management ordinance. Well, we cleaned up our waste management requirements. So before, we just used to say, all we said about trash management basically was, if you have a dumpster, then it has to be screened. We now also ask for a waste management plan. So if a dumpster doesn't fit on the site, we have to know how that is going to work. We cleaned up our site plan review chapter. This, I hope, is just going to be a tremendous boon for John and I in the next year as we help applicants go through our process, and we've made it clearer and more streamlined and with more charts and graphs. And so we hope that this is really going to be an excellent thing for our development community going forward. We resolved some conflicts, one with lot division. It had come to our attention through another department that there was a conflict in our zoning ordinance with regard to minimum lot size and lot division, so we straightened that out. We adopted the new sign ordinance, which was outside of the Planning Commission, but then required some amendments to the zoning ordinance to resolve some inconsistencies that had been introduced. And then the last thing that we managed to get through in 2020 were standards for the marijuana businesses. So in November 2019, the voters said, we're getting marijuana in the city of Lincoln Park. And after that regulatory ordinance had resolved itself, it was our job to figure out, the time, manner, and place, as we do. And so we did that. Policy review and study. So, things that did not end up being action, but which we've considered and which may yet be action in the future. So all those zoning text amendments that I just described had a study, some kind of study before them. In addition to that, we have been talking about a redevelopment opportunities package. We've talked about this more in the development staff meetings than at the Planning Commission, but we have briefly mentioned it, and I think you'll see some more of it. The sign revision rollout. So again, the sign ordinance doesn't live inside the zoning ordinance, but it does impact what we do. So we talked about it. And one thing that I hope will gain some traction in the next year is the auto service and makerspace overlay. So this is something that was called out in the master plan as being problematic. The way that we permit auto service establishments is not particularly successful. And so we hope to be able to address that in a manner that's better suited to the city. And while we are doing that, we would like also to discuss and learn more about ways in which we can permit what we're calling the missing middle of manufacturing. So things that are too big to be done in a home garage and too small to be done in a whole, property in the industrial district. How can we make those businesses and endeavors successful in the city? So those are the things that we studied. Implementation of the master plan. So here's a section that is I'm not sure that we had it in our last annual report, and it's really not that common. I don't think of a section in a master plan or in an annual report, but it should be, and it is part of the redevelopment ready communities requirements to report once a year on how we're progressing on meeting the goals and the actions outlined in the master plan. Well, that seemed like no better place to do that than in the annual report. So we talked a little bit about, we've removed some parking minimums downtown, replaced with accommodation based on evidence of demand. That was the new ordinance, but we're using it to its fullest potential. Maintaining sidewalks so that they're safe and clean for all users. That came up when we talked about walkability in the master plan, and we do a pretty good job of requiring in all of our site plan reviews that city sidewalks be brought up to standards. We had hosting regular food truck events downtown. There's been a food truck ordinance, believe it or not, in the works for a while now under when Giles was here. So it got some traction when Giles was here, and then, you know, sort of with his absence, faded into the background a little bit, but it has experienced a resurgence with Carl's, under Carl's leadership. And so hopefully it's headed forward. And adjusting the zoning ordinance to permit ultralight impact manufacturing in commercial zones. So that's the thing that I just talked about, the missing middle of manufacturing that was called out in our master plan, and we've at least been thinking about it. So that's progress. Regional correspondence. So other communities, our neighbors, are required to let us know statutorily if they're going to do any planning. To my knowledge, they didn't, although to be honest with you, the mail is so crazy this year that I wouldn't swear on my life that they didn't actually do any planning. And we didn't get any notification about it. And then finally, a report on the operation of the zoning ordinance. So this is something that is, you know, in the Zoning Enabling Act. And we've, you know, basically addressed the issues that I discussed before: the automotive service stations, repair centers, and public garages, automotive service and maker spaces overlay. And then another one that's coming up will be vehicle sales. So we think that we need some additional, right now there are no additional standards for vehicle sales operation. And we have been experiencing a lot of requests for folks to add car sales to an existing business. And so we just don't have any standards for, you know, how much space should be allotted per car. Can cars be stored inside? Do there need to be aisles so that you can walk between the cars? Those kinds of things. So we have a draft of that that just is, you know, making its way to you. So that's under consideration. And then finally, I note that it has been recognized firmly, and I've heard in a number of times that from the city's development review team, including city management and the economic and downtown development director and the building official, and honestly myself, we're all pretty much in agreement that the extent of changes required to truly make the zoning ordinance support the city's desired vision probably will require a ground up rewrite. So we've been, you know, patching things together, but the last ordinance was written in 1998, 99. It's 20 years old now, and a lot of things change in 20 years. And the biggest thing, I think, well, one of the bigger things about a new ordinance is that it's an opportunity to clean up all the little inconsistencies that get addressed as we, you know, sort of apply patch fixes over time, which, I mean, that's fine. That's what you have to do, but you also have to take an opportunity every now and then to get it cleaned up. So there is also a page on the meeting dates, but we'll talk about those next. And so what I'm looking for now is a motion to approve this annual report and send it to council at their January meeting for review.
I'll make such motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that? Mike, call the roll.
Mike, you're muted.
Are you there, Mike?
He's muted.
Unmute him.
I'm sorry. Okay, Kessel.
Yes.
Let's see. Palmer.
Yes.
And then Horvath says yes. And then Persinger.
Yes.
And then Dupre.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Leah, good report.
Great.
We'll move on to the next item of business, which is the 2021 meeting dates. Go ahead, Leah.
Everybody have a copy of those in your packet. So I am just looking for a motion to set these meeting dates, and then we'll get them on next year's calendar. Unless you see any conflicts, and the date you're looking at is the one on the left. The one on the right of is, material submission deadlines.
Anybody got any questions on them?
Yeah, one question, just a simple one. Are we going to keep to the same schedule that we had before? Was it the second Wednesday of the month or something like that?
Yep.
I hope so.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful then.
Oh, good.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Chuck makes a motion. Anybody support?
Support.
Tracy supports. And Mike will call the roll.
Okay, Palmer,
Yes.
Kissel,
Yes.
and then Horvath, yes. And then Persinger
Yes.
and Dupre.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. We'll move on to item D, which is a 2020 developmental approval process review. Leah?
Yeah, so this is really just a conversation that we would like to have. So, and I think this is driven by the redevelopment ready communities process, but honestly, I find the whole program is developed, or it's really kind of driven by things that are honestly a good idea to do anyways. And this falls in that category, which is to take once a year and to, talk about how the process of, actually getting development reviewed and approved has been going. Have there been hiccups? Have we run into any sort of like regular problems that need addressing, that we should, put on our agenda for 2021 to look into? And I guess I will start by saying that the site plan review, so as I mentioned earlier, having the new site plan review chapter, I think, I hope will be a real improvement. Things have been so weird since it was adopted that I don't have a good, any success stories just yet. And the second thing that I will say is that I have heard from a number of other consultants, and in fact, even before I started feeling like this myself, but I've really come to agree that the idea of getting pre-application meetings done by Zoom, which never, not one time would have occurred to me, before we had to do everything by Zoom, is really a great development. It allows for, out of town folks to have better access to us than it otherwise would have. It really saves, to be perfectly frank, it saves on the city's consulting budget when I don't have to drive into town, make a 30-minute meeting into, a 3-hour, kind of charge. Oh, John is frowning at me. I will still come for meetings. I just mean for a short
I can't see John.
Settle down, John, settle down.
I do think that at least this has increased some access in ways that just were not available before. I had thought that it might increase participation in these meetings as well. And I don't know that we've known that to be the case. People are not breaking down our virtual door any more than they are our real one. But, there's not so much a spectator sport, and really what we're talking about is the development review process. So those are my comments. I'd maybe ask John if he has any to add, and then I would like to hear from the commissioners. As John just disappeared.
It's well written, well spoken, and well received.
Our development process is great and needs no improvement?
No, what you've described as things we need to modify.
Oh, okay.
They're right on the money. If we don't modify them, we're comfortable with the resolve that we've had for the last 20 years that you described, the last dating cycle. And to really plan for a future that is going to be technology and smaller by by footprint because you can be visited, seen, discussed, and planned from multiple parts of the world at the same time. If we're not preparing for that in our design of our city, in our discipline, in our planning, then we will be left behind. And so I want to tell the Planning Commission, Lee is right on target. We need to develop an intentional correction in some of our zoning issues, in correction in some of our strategies of designing them, better written documentation that line up from topic or from zoning or ordinance categories, and they line up a match, really will save a lot of people's confusion. It will also save a lot of jurisdiction fights that we won't have to battle and lose because one category says it one way and another part of our zoning and ordinance says it another. It takes time to do that, but to be intentional about targeting those steps, as you've seen us do this year, continuing into 2021, would be prudent behavior on our part as staff and recommending you as a commission to invest time to study, review, and recommend for the value and the development of the city.
Wow.
Very good, John.
Very good, John.
Leah wrote that for me and I was just reading it off the sheet.
Good job, Leah. You almost
did
think
a
you're an
great
Ohio
job.
State grad.
I mean,
You're knowledgeable.
but it didn't happen.
That means Ohio State Fran knows what the best choices are and should take them, even if it's not their own words.
Leah, you have a way with words that's awesome.
Very kind. But again, that John made that up. I didn't say that. I wonder from the commissioners, if you're from your position in the community and from, you have a very different perspective than we do. John and I get to see all the sausage made, but you guys get to sort of hear the highlights and spend more time, really face to face with the applicants sometimes. What are there things that we have talked about this year or that have been sources of frustration that we should work on next year, or that you think, I don't know, that maybe you hear elsewhere that is worth, discussing? Like how can we improve development in Lincoln Park? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I don't see any hands up.
No, not that. I think developing our city is a very great thing. We got to have people who want to come here. And we've been making accommodations for a lot of people, but like you said, our standards have got to be set to today's time, I agree that like 30 years ago, we let a lot of things slide, stuff like that we're not going to do today.
Can I give you an exciting stimulus that says they're coming? We just need to get ready for what they're going to do in the business world. The projection right now appears to be that in 2020, we have sold 2,000 residential properties and bought them already.
Awesome.
That means we have turned resident population over by 2,000 residential buildings in 2020.
Can I ask you a question real quick, John?
What Leah's job is to do for me, I just kidding, Leah. What our job as staff are to do is to answer what 22,000 people left in the spectrum of money, resources, life, elderly, how they leave, and who came in. And then we have a whole lot of answers to look at and questions about why this commission is so important in planning how we prepare for that kind of turnover and that next group of audience that we have to serve and develop a city for their convenient needs.
That's a good point.
Awesome.
2,000 residential units. I mean, just at a guess, right? There's about 37,000 people in the city of Lincoln Park, and get 2 per household. Then 2,000 divided by 17,000. That's 12%. 12% of our homes now have new people in them.
In
That's
1 year,
awesome.
Right.
in the
Wow.
middle of a
That's
pandemic.
It's great turnover, but it's
I
good.
know.
I hope.
So
A quick question for you, John.
Yes,
A
sir.
quick one. Remember we were discussing partial properties and stuff like that, selling
You
them
broke
or
up.
whatever, to like making smaller homes. We were discussing before about partial properties, making smaller homes on them.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
yeah. How has that come?
I've probably got my balloon a little more deflated. However, the encouraging part for me is we have passed through council and all the unbuildable lots are now legally available to our city and our assessing office to sell. And we don't need to be responsible for paying for those maintenance. Lee has worked really, really well. We've dialogued on a number of categories between our two offices. I have proposed some strong ideas of being very industrious about building different housing, smaller, larger, and medium. I think there is a window of concern that says, can we build in this economic time for people to buy our houses in this economic era of the population of this city? And I would believe that if the design and the locations are as we see them to be, and as they are very much to the new generation of need in the way they're built versus the houses that we've had that were structured many, many years, 50, 60, 70 years ago. If we're building the next generation style of house, I don't think we would really have too far of a difficulty of selling. But that has to be the next hurdle I think we're wrestling with. Would you agree with that, Leah? Is the economical numbers of, is it really dreamable possible? And I've come from other backgrounds of experiences in cities. So I'm very much more optimistic that we can design, even using public middle schools and public high school students as a generational training facility that we already know is depleted in our trades building in this state and in this country. We could design it, we could create them, and we could let generations of young kids become part of our new fab going into the future, keeping our numbers down, giving them a quality training, giving them credentials to go on to trade schools with grants, and watching ourselves rebuild our own cities. So I have a lot more vision in some of that, but in wisdom in the whole staff, we probably have to let everybody jump on board and agree. But I think we still talk about it every couple of weeks at some level, probably to nauseam to most of the development team. But to think about 2,000 new home residents in 1 year, and to think that we could potentially put another 85 or 90 brand new homes throughout the city, not isolated to one neighborhood, but throughout a whole city, and give fresh breath, fresh wind, fresh hope, seems exciting to me. So we're looking at prefab buildings that meet state standards, don't meet trailer standards. We're looking at designing what we've just read, a company called Bone Structure, which is literally an entire steel structure that can be built without trade skills, but when it's finished, it brings a 97% efficiency rating in the house, which is very beneficial for a community that has extreme weather temperatures from 0 degrees to 80 and 90 in the summer, and the humidity changing. We have a great opportunity to test those and market that type of design. With Leah's team and her help, we've been able to listen and evaluate new generational redesigned building structures that allow us to plan for the future, where the house can be still 1,200 feet square, but have a place and design for home offices and homeschool students, and have the flexibility in a house that we haven't seen in 50 years in this city.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm really done.
You're done?
Before my head blows up. And Leah can confer that we've been talking this way, and we've been building and trying to put the next pieces together. But I'd love to see us step into, if nothing else, one of the three categories: 40 feet wide, 50 feet wide, or above 60 feet wide, and invest and see what the pilot of that program would look like in the community, and how many developers would jump on board.
Sounds interesting.
Love it.
Leah, you got anything?
Nope, that was it. If there's, nothing else from the commissioners on the development process, that's all I got on that.
All right. Anybody else got anything? Then we'll move on to the next section of the agenda, the policy review and discussion. There's nothing. Next one after that is education and training. Leah?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna see a couple of things here. So, oh, actually, there's two on here. So the first is, another Michigan Association of Planning. I just try to make sure that you know what they are. This one's kind of cool. Michigan Winter Cities Planning and Development. So it's a series of, there's some recorded stuff, there's a workshop, and then some resources trying to, at any time, it would be best for us who live in cold climates to figure out how to, induce people to enjoy it, because we have commercial
Go camping.
that they want us to visit. No, that's not a commercial district. But, this year especially, when it's so alarming to be in a building, how can we really sort of make friends with the outdoors? So, and this one is extremely affordable. It's in January 14th. It's an hour-and-a-half workshop. And then there's some materials for you to check out yourself. That's only $20. And then this other one, I'm just letting you know that it exists. I certainly don't expect anyone to run out and sign this up for it, but it's a great resource, and we have it here, in the state. So I thought, well, I'll just stick it on there. And that's the Citizen Planner online. So there's a Citizen Planner course, which I always see when I go to the MAP conference. Like, you can spend your whole 3 days, 3 full days of instruction and come out with your Citizen Planner certification there. And of course, they, like everybody else, has done some pivoting during the pandemic, and now that whole course is available online. So you can do it in a self-paced way, but it's no joke. They call it the gold standard of commissioner training, and they're not kidding. So it's $275 if you wish to educate yourself in this way, and I'm sure a good chunk of your time. Again, it's a good program, and if it interested you, I wanted to make sure that you knew about it. And then the last thing I'll say is, I think Liz still has it up on the screen. Yeah, this monthly planning report that's in your packet. So that's new. You haven't seen that before. Many of you, some of you probably remember our colleague Ben Tallarico, who filled in for me for a couple of months when I was on medical leave a couple of years ago. And he is in the process of retiring. So we have picked up his some of his client communities. Well, apparently he's been given great service to his clients that included this monthly planning report, wherein he would collect court cases and news stories, and just basically anything that might interest one over the course of a month in planning. So his communities clamored for it. They were like, when's that monthly report coming? We're still getting that right. And so since we were putting it together anyways, it seemed like, well, why not give my clients this kind of good service if I'm going to be writing it anyways? So
there you go.
Right. That's now included in our packet. We don't have to discuss it really ever. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk about anything on it, but that is what that is about.
Okie dokie. We move on to, well, first of all, I think that John should pay for all this to go to that second one, Citizens Planner Outline. I think John should cover that. We're not hearing anything but laughter. We'll move on to reports from departments and
My
other
microphone's breaking up.
Anybody have anything to say about reports for departments and other boards and commissions?
Nothing from the dangerous building at this time. Leah, Liz, everybody, great job.
All righty. Public comments. Anybody got any public comments?
Yes, if I could. This is Lillian.
Go ahead, Lillian.
Lillian.
Going back to the Taco Bell plans. I heard it was mentioned that the police had inquired about the emergency lane through the drive-throughs, but it wasn't actually, I think, answered. Was it?
Leah, you got
No.
anything on that?
It was not. I didn't hear an answer to that either. And so I'm recalling from the last, and I was recalling, whatever. So the last time we had this conversation about the Taco Bell that was on Dick's, the police had the same comment, and I asked them, it kind of got down to the wire, and I said, well, is this going to stop development? And he said, well, no, I just wanted to raise the issue. So I flagged it in the report. When it didn't come up in the conversation again, I didn't halt the works to ask about it.
Oh, okay.
Is this one though, their drive-through going to be as narrow as the other one?
I mean, I guess off the top of my head, I don't know the width of it. My understanding what the conversation was that there's not an additional vehicular lane. So
Right.
it's not really a matter of being 10 feet versus 12 feet. It was getting a whole extra 10 feet on there. And
Or just the space to get around it, right?
right. The escape.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. And then if I could just make a comment, I know that I'm not
Sure.
I'm not the building department liaison anymore. You have Maureen, but you guys have, how can I put this? I'm addicted to the building department meetings, okay?
Well, you're welcome here anytime you want to come.
And I think, thank you, because I think, just knowing this stuff is going to make me a better council person. Yeah. So please just keep me on the emails.
Sure.
Okay.
I think it's some kind of viral air pollution that we put out that makes people addicted.
But no, seriously, thank you for always making me feel welcome and allowing me to ask my questions, and I truly enjoyed it.
You're more than welcome, and thank you for being our liaison the last couple of years. And you're more than welcome to come back and come to our meetings once a month if you want to.
Thank you.
And
That's
we
it.
want to also welcome Maureen as the liaison, the new liaison. Maureen?
Yeah, thank you so much. Lillian, I am excited about being as the building department with the planning liaison as you are with what you just said. And I hope that you and I can sit down and talk sometime and you can fill me in and give me some guidance and experience. And this is one of the best meetings I've been on. You guys are a great group, and the things that you've accomplished are so impressive. And I am really looking forward to seeing you every month. And my door is always open. If there's something I can help with, please feel free to contact me about anything. And Lillian, I hope you'll make time for me.
Sure.
That, you and I can work well together, and you can keep me up to date and on my toes.
Welcome aboard, and Lillian, only tell her the good stuff about us. Only tell her the good stuff.
Only the stuff that makes you addicted.
There you go.
That'll work.
It's information. It's like mainlining,
Do any of the planning commissioners have anything to say? Chuck?
Well, I did, but I think I already said it. So
All right.
it was the whole thing of the MDOT and all the other stuff about that. We had talked about it before. And
Joe, you got anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Tracy, would you like to say anything? You're new. This is your first meeting. Welcome to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm new to planning, so I have a lot to learn. I also work with the assessor's office, which I think you guys, it might tie in a little bit with you. I'm learning a lot there as well. And I just hope to learn as much as I can and be as helpful as I can.
Okay. Well, once again, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
yes.
We have anybody else that has anything to say? Mike, you have anything? Don't want to leave you out.
Well, I've already done all my jokes, so I just like to wish you all to be blessed and safe from the pandemic, and may, even if you can't family gather, have a good Christmas this year.
Leah, what time is the meeting next Thursday? Thursday, right?
Thursday, 6 o'clock. We're kind
All
of
right.
in and out before the
6
ZBA
p.m.
meeting starts. So 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So everybody be back here at 6 o'clock next week, next Thursday.
Yep, you're gonna get your agenda first thing tomorrow morning. We were gonna send it out today, but Liz very wisely pointed out why confuse us with 2 agendas in a row, get this meeting done, and then send it. So you'll have
Good
it-
job, Liz.
I know, isn't she smart?
Yes, she is.
He's awesome.
I have something. I have 2 emails with the city. One is M. Tobin at City LP, and that's for the events. And the other is Tobin M, and that is my council. Tobin N at City LP. That is my council email. So please use my council email for
Tobin M, yeah.
correspondence.
Yep, I'm gonna make
It's
it.
really confusing to have 2 emails. It's like, so thank you.
So Maureen, let me clarify again for my short, slow-minded. You said Tobin M is your counsel,
Yes, Tobin M at citylp.com.
and that's the one we'll use.
Yes, please.
Very good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Chuck moved,
Persinger, who second?
who supported,
Dupre.
Dupre.
and all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, 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 aye.
Motion's carried. This meeting
Great
is
job,
now
everybody.
adjourned. It
Yeah.
is 8:12 p.m. Thank you again. We'll see you all next Thursday.
Everybody have a
Will do.
really wonderful Christmas.
Good night.
Well, we got another meeting. We still have one
Oh, that's
more.
right, Tuesday. Okay, I'll say that again on Tuesday.
Wednesday,
Next Thursday
Thursday, next
Thursday.
Thursday.
Next week.
at 6
We have a
o'clock.
meeting at 6 o'clock.
Well, I have it in on Tuesday,
Yeah,
so
'cause
we'll have
what
to
is-
Yeah,
change
this is
that.
a quickie.
What
This
is
is a
the
quick
zoning
meeting.
board of
Yeah,
appeals?
okay, see, I put it on Tuesday because I thought you meant, never mind, on Tuesdays. I'm losing it.
Well,
I need
just
a
send out
nap,
the
so-
email reminder.
Okay.
Me too.